Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Tuesday Night Live podcast from the range with your host, John G. Johnson.
What's up? What's up, ladies and gentlemen? That makes me giggle every week. I know it's me, but it makes me giggle every week. I'm John, the firearms instructor. If you are new to the channel, go ahead and let us know that by go ahead and comment up top there. If you are one of our regulars, thank you very much for spending your Tuesday night with me. If you don't know who I am, I'm John, the firearms instructor. I'm on YouTube, I'm on school, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok. I'm a great dancer. And we specialize in you. We specialize in the first-time shooter. We specialize in someone that needs help with support. And we put together programs and techniques and drills and videos and a YouTube channel, the school community, all to support you guys to becoming the best shooter you can be. And each week we come up with a topic or technique or something another that will support you in this week's accuracy challenge that we try to put with you each week. We've got a comment already. See who this is. James Russell. Thank you, James. Glad you're here, my friend. I appreciate you very much. You are the best. Phil, how you doing? Great. Got a couple of regulars there. They're in the school community, and we appreciate them being here on the Tuesday night YouTube live. Well, if you didn't know it, I just dropped a video at 7 o'clock, and this is what the live is about tonight. It is about defensive accuracy. It is about knowing your defensive accuracy, knowing your distance of challenge. D. Marshall, what's going on? It's about knowing your defensive accuracy, knowing your angle, knowing what you can do and what you can't do. Last night we talked about a little bit in the school community, but tonight we're going to discuss it even more. And I'm going to put a challenge out to you guys to see what your defensive accuracy is. And you're going to watch this YouTube video. It's out already. It hopped off pretty quick. We are 4 out of 10. Oh, thank you, D. Marshall. Appreciate you joining the Platinum program. Thank you. You are the best, my friend. Thank you. Always appreciate that. Thank you, sir. You are been. I don't think you've missed one yet, have you? I don't think you have, my friend. And that's kind of the cool thing about it. D's all the way out in California. Or should we call it California? But D, there's a bunch of people just like D that want to work on their Second Amendment and everything else like that. D, I hope your brother's doing well. I hope he's feeling better. I hope he's getting well. Tell him I said, get well and get to the range. D's been running. His brother's been sick a little bit. So if you have an opportunity to camouflage there, have any ability to wish Dee's brother a successful, healthy, getting back on his feet. I do wish that for him. So what is defensive accuracy and how do we figure it out? Listen, no commercials tonight because I'm fighting with the powers to be. I don't know how many times I can ask them to review the dry fire. They keep calling it a piece of a gun. These stupid Google and the dry fire insert, they're calling it a gun. I'm telling them it's not a piece of equipment. It doesn't fire a bullet. I've done everything I can do, and they're not, so I have to go and reposition myself into my website to sell those stupid things because they will not let me. What they did was they finally took them off and made them all out. There's no way to buy them. So that's why you don't limit yourself on doing one thing through Google. Because then they, good evening, Jessica Brown. How you doing, sweetheart? Jessica's one of our one of our lady members in the HTS is really kicking ass, and we're proud of you, honey. Um, our first member ever was Miss Bonnie. I don't know if Miss Bonnie's going to be in tonight, but Miss Bonnie was our first HTSer. She jumped in at the very beginning, the first day, first hour I put it out in the market. She jumped in it, and we've got a lot of ladies in this now, and which surprisingly, because my YouTube channel is 89.7% men and only a few little women, right? But I do mostly women training at my shop, so it's kind of an interesting effect. But the school community seems to be working really well for the ladies. We have a large wrath of women right now that are working with us. We appreciate that very much. I'm glad you're here, Jessica. Thank you very much. I don't know if I ever told you, Jessica, but I was thinking about my daughter being named Jessica. We were doing the JGJs, and because my name is John Gordon Johnson, and I did my son John Gordon Johnson II, and then I did Jacob Garrett, but each one of them had Jessica as a girl's name if they came out as a girl. Johnsons don't make too many girls. I take that back. My brother made 2, but all the rest of. What's funny is my brother's older than me, Jerry. He's got a boy, Troy. They can't make a boy. He's got 6 girls in the house. Him and his wife. His wife, and the 4 girls. So he doesn't know how to make a boy. But the rest of Johnsons in the world were all boys. So it's kind of unique. And Miss Johnson, my wife, she didn't want a girl. She wanted all boys. She didn't want to deal with the wrath of a little girl. So it was kind of one of those deals. So I like that name. Bonnie Sue. There she is. I've never seen Bonnie Sue before. Is that your tag on YouTube? That's awesome. James Weber, thank you very much for being here. Appreciate you very much. I don't know if I could call you Bonnie Sue. You might not like that, but Bonnie Sue. Well, I'll keep that in there. So defensive accuracy. So I'm not doing any commercials, but I am working on putting those back out. We went from selling about 9 of the. Oh, by the way, if you have placed an order through any of these systems, because the dry fire system, when I put that out to economical pricing, thank you for the thumbs up. Economical prices, we ship those United States Postal Service, and we ship them first class, and we ship them first class and package. And there's been a few that have been lost in the mail. And I have tried to send out everything I could to get them back. We had a couple people that contacted me today, said they hadn't got them yet. So do not wait any longer. We have been a week and a half. If you did not receive them yet, go ahead and email me. Let me know, and we'll get a new package out to you. USPS. The problem is if I put tracking on this package, it's going to cost me $7 to track a $9 package. That math doesn't add up. And me charging you $24 for that dry fire insert, that math doesn't add up. So I'm willing to replace some that aren't there, but I won't know they're not there if you don't contact me and let me know. We had Bruce Dobbs, who ordered at the very beginning, and he contacted me a week ago. Well, by the way, Bruce, it's out already if you're listening. But he said he forgot that he even placed the order, just was listening to one of my podcasts and said, oh, but yeah, by the way, I did order that thing. But they are a little black package. They're about this big, and they are going to the mail, and they can get lost. I've seen them happen before. But I've got most people saying they're getting them, so I can't do anything about replacing it if you don't let me know. So you can always email me. That where you ordered it from, you should get an order number, and you can let me know. I would appreciate that. James Weber, what's going on? So defensive accuracy is basically the distance you can conquer an 8-inch circle, which I used a 6-inch circle, and I'm trying to play at that 21-foot distance, 7 yards, 5 yards, 3 yards, 5 rounds each time. The distance that you could put all 5 shots in the circle and not be missing. I shot all mine a little high. This time I wasn't low and left. I wasn't in the middle. I wasn't right. But if you watch this video, which is on my YouTube channel, just released here just a little bit ago, you guys in the school community, in a few minutes here, I'm going to send that into the comments. You in the YouTube channel, it's already released, but I'll go ahead and send it to the community as well for you to watch that. It'll help tremendously you understand what you need to do. So when I did this drill for you guys, I'm going to bring this back up here. This barcode up top here is for the school community. Kurt Richards, what's going on? What's going on? Glad you're here, buddy. Thank you for always being here. You're a good man. I got to remember not to talk bad about you tonight, though. That's the only. I would never talk bad about you, buddy. All right, we'll take this off for now. Remove this one. There we go. All right, I like that better. All right, so I did this drill dry is what I call this. Dry means you have not shot around it. It is your first contact with a weapon of the day. This will be your first drill of the day, and this is your defensive accuracy drill. And basically, if you don't have a regular target, like one of these back here, you can go ahead and pull yourself up just a regular white target or black silhouette target like you got there and put a paper plate in there. I use what's considered the pie plate, basically, not the dinner plate, which is like a 6-inch circle. And I put that out at 7 yards was my first 5 shots. And I cut my shots, 5 shots at about, I don't know, like a second around, maybe second and a half around, really focusing on my front sight, really giving myself a good trigger press and trying to keep them all in the circle. And then I moved the target to 5 yards, and I did the same. And I moved the target to the 3 yards, and I did the same. Now, at 3 yards, I was able to shoot a little bit faster than at 5. And when I shot 5, I was able to shoot a little bit faster than I shot the 7. So more importantly, is we need to get an 80% on this target to pass. Now, 80% of 15 rounds. Quick, someone with math. Make that, what percentage can I miss? If you think 80%, so you want to make sure that you at least got 13 rounds into the 15-round base. And then that is your base for the next time you do the drill. You need to do better than you did the first time. And I would recommend you do this drill at least once a week and give yourself confidence. When you watch the video on what I did, we talked about grip and stance and sight picture and sight alignment. All that stuff's got to be there. You know that. You can't control a pistol if you're not controlling the pistol. You can't run a gun unless you are running the gun. So everything, hey, Mike Danoco. Mike, I don't recognize that name. Are you new? Have you been on the show before? Michael Dantuono 3120. Thank you for being here. If you're new, let us know who you are and where you're from. If you're not new, let us know who you are and where you're from. That's great. I'm glad to see you, man. John, what's happening, buddy? John Derby, thank you very much. I'm glad you're here, sir. So tonight we're going to do something every shooter wants. And we want to make sure that we are accurate in a defensive situation. Defensive accuracy is not punching holes in paper, but it's accurate shots on target when it matters. Because here's the truth. A lot of shooters go to the range and just mag dump into a target, but that doesn't build skill. Tonight, I'm going to show you how to increase your defensive accuracy so you can actually win at the range. John, what's happening, buddy? John Darby. I'm glad you're here, my friend and myself. What does defensive accuracy really mean? It really gives you the ability to understand fast enough to stop a threat, accurate enough to hit the A zone or the vital zone, and controlled enough to avoid misses. Guppy, what's happening? What's happening? Ideally, what we're trying to do is put this perfect recipe together to become the best shooter you can be. Because we haven't even talked about getting out of the holster or doing any of this stuff. We got to work on our sequences to do this stuff. We got to present the weapon, right? Working on that present. When we go from load to ready, we're presenting the firearm to the target, which can be practiced at the range. We can bring the weapon out of the holster and present it towards the target. Can be done at home. Now, obviously, it'd be great to be able to do it at the range, but a lot of indoor ranges don't let you go to full strength, everything you do. Oh, Sam. Using someone else's iPad. Okay, Sam, I got you, buddy. No big deal. Glad you're here, Sam. Glad you're here. Trying to slip in the backside, Sam. We don't know it's you, pal. Good thing I didn't say anything bad about you, buddy, while you were on the other side. All right. So defensive accuracy really isn't not about bullseyes. It's combat effective accuracy. Most defensive encounters happen at what distance? Less than 3 yards. Less than 3 yards, you could be the shittiest shooter in the world and still be pretty accurate in a vital triangle situation. But we need to be ultimately in control of our defensive accuracy, because hello, Joe Mears, how you doing? When all else fails, we got to be as accurate as it can, because we're responsible for those bullets until they hit the ground. Now, the challenge we have is when we're in high defense situation, all the crap that we've been practicing, all the books we read, all the videos we watch, all the trigger engagements we've done goes out the window because of high stress. So we have to build as much muscle memory as possible to be in effect and be effective in a defensive situation. So tonight I'm going to give you a few things I think would help you conquer your defensive accuracy. And while I got you on here and you're commenting so well, thank you very much for the comments, guys. These are awesome. We got 17 on here tonight. Go ahead and tell me where you think your defensive accuracy is. What angle, what distance do you think you could conquer at a 8-inch paper plate? And I'm not talking about the bottom half of the 8-inch paper plate. I'm talking about the center of the 8-inch paper plate. You don't have to tell me exactly this. You can just do 3, 5, or 7. If you think you could do it at 7, which I did it at 7 at a 6-inch paper plate, they weren't exactly in the center of the plate. They were a little high, honestly. but they were all in the plate. I did cut one edge of a paper plate on the very first one. Got a little high, but if you cut the paper plate, you still win. I'm taking that. So that's the key thing for us. Now, what I will tell you is the closer it comes to you, the tighter your groups could be, right? So speed versus accuracy. Accuracy with control is the most important thing. So how do we control a pistol the proper way? I will tell you there's a lot of different things we can talk about, but what I would give you the most proper control of a pistol. A lot of people say I'm working on my grip. I'm working on that. I lose my grip during the shots, right? I shoot too many. I don't feel like I'm in control, or I have to open and close. I have to open and close my hands a lot. I'm adjusting my grip an awful lot. Well, there's a few things you could do that. Now we're going to talk gentlemen first. And when we drive that pistol and close our hands around the firearm, that leverage of us driving with our chest muscles, gentlemen, really keep the pistol in control. We can't allow any kind of gapping or any kind of grip separation, or that's going to be a problem for us. For the ladies, it's a push and pull effect, and it works real well for you. But I think if we work on a decent grip on the pistol and then work on a continuous pressing trigger engagement, those two things will make you accurate. It'll consistently make you, because what we're trying to work on more than anything else is consistency. And the more consistent we are, no matter what it is, no matter what you do, whether it's golf or tennis or volleyball or whatever it is, you just got to be consistent. If you are consistent, and that just means doing the same repetition over and over and over again, you're going to start to conquer these little things like this. And it makes it. So I would tell you, mastering your grip control, and on both sides, really, your right hand and your left hand, we actually have to use more on our non-dominant hand than our dominant hand. The more the gun moves, the more challenging it's going to be for us. If the gun moves, your sights move. If your sights move, your shots are going to be open. So I want you to think back to the last time you were at the range. Was your weapon staying as still as it could? Or was it getting a little muzzle flippy, or muzzle dumping during the shots? And this is very challenging for most women, that they cut the shot in the front post dips. If your front post dips, you're dipping the rounds. If you're allowing the gun to fly up or muzzle flip, you're going to have high shots as well. So we want to stop the gun from moving as much as possible without putting a lot of torque or pressure on the weapon, because that's going to cause an imbalance. And the more the weapon's in balance, the more you're going to find movement and sight movement and weapon movement. It's a fine line between control and speed, if that makes a difference. Because the more we can really control the weapon, the more accurate we're going to be with the weapon. And I'm not saying the gun has to be completely still. When you watch me shoot this drill, when you watch the video tonight, when you watch it, my weapon's not standing still. It moves up, it comes down, it moves up, it comes down, but it's coming back down in the same position. It comes down at the same position as close as I can get it so it stays level each time. Yeah. Well, you can still do that, John. Saying I was not impressed with my first one-handed drill. My non-dominant hand has a lot of muzzle flip. Yeah, well, what you can do too is you got to make sure that your hand, your dominant hand, is either tucked in your pocket or up in your hand, and make sure that you are centered over the pistol. And when you bring your non-dominant hand, can't uh, cant the pistol just a little bit, and it'll allow it to go this direction instead of this direction, and that'll make a big difference for you. Yeah, it's going to make a difference when you grip. The grip is everything, James. You know that. We got to control the pistol, because if I took these pistols, guys, and I put them in a vise and I pulled the trigger with an actuator, they'd be in the same damn hole. The handgun is that accurate. It's just the handgun's attached to us. The handgun's attached to 2 points of contact, and neither one of these points of contact can give us 100%. And that becomes our problem. And then sometimes we have an opportunity to over torque with one hand or the other. If you almost want to think about it, I've kind of talked to you before, but if you put the orange in your hand and kind of squeeze that, you can almost, if you try this right here at your house, right now, put your hands up in front of you and just squeeze your hands together, you'll feel your pecs kicking in, gentlemen. Now take that whole thing and put it out in front of you. You'll start feeling the impact of driving the pistol. And if you drive the pistol properly, you're going to control the pistol. You can't look over the pistol, but you can't look under the pistol either. Weapons got to be at your dominant eye. That's the key thing. Just remember, when we're working with a pistol, we're right-handed. Yes, you're right-handed, but in shooting, your left hand or your support hand is the hand that controls, because mathematically, it's just numbers, guys. 4 fingers here, 3 fingers here. We know that this is going to give us more power. Keep that in our brain, the easier it's going to be for us. I think number 2 is, because remember, we're shooting at something like a white piece of paper. Did anyone try the white paper drill? The white paper drill is a great drill because it gives you no feedback except what you're giving the pistol. A lot of times people put targets out there and try to impact the target. Well, the issue with a white piece of paper, there is no target. You have to just trust yourself that when you engage this pistol, the bullet's going to go where you're impacting. And yeah, there we go, James. Good. I'm glad you did, buddy. And that's a real tell for you, because when you start thinking about, okay, now I know for a fact that I was aiming higher with those bullets impacted, then we need to work on that trigger press to make sure that we're not getting sighted or anticipating or anything else like that. That's a great drill because it doesn't give you, there's no anticipation or there's no anxiety of missing a spot. You make the spot. That's the cool thing about the white paper drill. So when we talking about the number 2 thing would be front sight focus. Now, we've preached this an awful lot, and a lot of students are starting to get it now, and it makes a big difference when you get it. I know it changed my accuracy an awful lot, and found it by accident, really. I'm embarrassed to tell you, but I've been telling students about front sight focus since about 2013. You know what they talk about? They say, I could teach you to shoot, but I couldn't figure it out myself. And then I was doing a video, and I did the 2, this is less than 6 months, maybe less than 6 or 7 months ago. is when I got my aha moment. One of the guys last night on the school community, Joe, he said, I haven't got an aha moment yet. And I go, it's coming, I promise you. That moment of clarity, that moment of, that's what he's talking about. The moment of, oh my gosh, I've been doing this forever and I've been doing it wrong. And all of a sudden now it just clicks. And that's the greatest feeling in the world. That's the greatest feeling in the world when it clicks. And then at that point in time, it makes it so much easier to get past a certain point. You ever been someplace where you got so far and then all of a sudden I just can't get past it? But once you get past it, you go, oh my gosh, that was so easy. Why did it take me forever to get there? Because it just didn't fit. It just didn't fit. You can push that puzzle piece into the puzzle, but if it doesn't have the right angles and the right things and right this, you can't make a square piece of puzzle fit into a round hole. You can force it in there, but it's going to be an ugly piece. It's not going to be the piece that fits. And once you get the piece that fits, it goes in that angle where it's supposed to be, and it's the same color as everything else there. Then the puzzle is finished. Then you go to yourself, oh, there it is. That's what it was. I promise you, Joe, it's going to come, man. I promise you, buddy. It could be as simple as just the littlest thing, man. But once you get one, once something happens and you go and oh my gosh, and then after that point, they come like in groves. You know, when we first did the masterclass, I had students from all over the United States. I had a young guy named David. David was in Washington State, and David has a husband and a wife and 3 little kids, a school teacher, and he was really having a hard time with trigger control. And we had a couple phone calls, not much at all. And I gave him a couple videos to watch. And one day I get a call on my phone, and he was like at the range, so excited because we was able to put 5 shots right in a row in a tight group. And it all clicked after that. And he wrote a real nice review for us and everything else like that. And he called me a magician. He said, the magician got me this, and he showed me what to do. And I said, David, all I did was tell you about it. I talked to you about it. You did it, buddy. You did it, man. I can only take you so far. You've got to put it together, make it your own, right? And once you've got that, then all of a sudden you did it. I didn't do it, buddy. I gave you what you needed to get there, but you still have to consume it, my friend. And now David is a phenomenal shooter. And he was from Washington State. That was before we got this thing going. I was saying, can I really teach a student that far away from me? David was the furthest away he could be. I'm in Florida, and David's in Washington State. And he was the furthest one from us, and he got the most out of it. And I worked late for him because he was a school teacher, and he was teaching soccer, and we did extra stuff for him. But, Joe, don't you fret, man. I promise you, buddy, it's coming, man. It's coming. Do those classes. Get in the classroom. Do week 1. Do week 2. Didn't catch week 1, week 2? Do it again. Once you get to week 2 and start seeing 6 o'clock hold, and then we start getting to that, all that stuff starts clicking on you real fast, my friend. Then we start working on a good trigger press. Those 3 things, sight alignment, grip, and trigger press, you're going to be accurate with a pistol. Pretty simple and easy. So front sight focus is so important for us because all we really have to do, and a lot of people worry about this all the time, I can't see the target. You don't need to see the target. You just need to see the front sight. Let me give you a vision here real quick. Now, this is very easy for you to do. You can do it right now with me if you'd like to. All right. I want you to take your finger, put it out in front of you, just like that. Put it on my nose, if you can see my nose there. Put it right there. Boom, boom, boom. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to focus on my nose. Focus on my nose. Focus on my nose, right? If you focus on my nose, then your finger will go blurry on you. Now, if you focus again now, point it out in front of you, just like this, I'm working the camera now, and I start focusing on my fingernail, focus on my fingernail, then the target, then the camera becomes a little blurry. This is called front sight focus. The vision we're looking for is your target to be blurry, your front sight to be crystal clear, your back sight to be a little blurry. And instead of trying to cover the whole thing up, work on a 6 o'clock hole, which if I said to you, golf ball, golf tee, if we had a little 3-inch circle out there, we'd want to be at the base of the 3-inch circle. Golf ball, golf tee. And once you've done that, then you can start getting your consistent point of aim. And once you start getting consistent point of aim, and bullets start impacting in the same position, they may be to left a little bit, but all that is, you got the gun over your nose and not over your dominant eye. And then we'd start turning that gun and weapon over dominant eye, and all of a sudden you're shooting over the pistol and you're impacting the target where it needs to be. It makes it so simple and so easy once you start putting all these things together. Naturally, someone who's right eye dominant and got the gun over their nose, that's where the left comes from a lot of times. Pulling the trigger versus pressing the trigger, that causes a lot of issues. This piece of skin touching the firearm instead of trigger gap, right? We want to gap this finger off the weapon and use the tip of your finger to engage the trigger into your hand. You're going to control the pistol a lot easier. Front sight focus is where your eyes go, and the gun will follow. I promise you that. You need to focus on the sight that's crystal clear. Your front sight needs to be crystal clear, not the target. The target can't be crystal clear if your front sight is not crystal clear, right? You can only concentrate on one thing. Are you going to concentrate on the back sight? You're going to concentrate on the front sight, or are you going to concentrate on the target? Because our brain can only do one thing at a time. So the more we focus on front sight focus, the clearer the front sight gets. And then we want to start working on equal and level. The top of your front sight to the top of your back sight are level. And then your front sight between the two back sights needs to be level. People don't know, or people don't think about it, but your front sight levels the pistol high and low, right? Which and your back and your negative space between your back sights level the pistol this way. So we have up and down and right and left. And once we start getting that angles together, then we're going to have a consistent aiming system that we can consistently repeat, and our accuracy will start to go up, which, because you're impacting where you're aiming, you're building that confidence, and with confidence comes accuracy. Number 3 is we got to work on the best trigger control we can. If I could tell you one thing, I would tell you trigger control is probably the number one accuracy killer because of the monster that's in between our two ears. It's not a lot of new students that come to the range that do not like, they're a little nervous, and they pull the trigger versus press the trigger. And when you pull a trigger, you do nothing but manipulate the firearm in one way or the other. You move the firearm. And we talked about keep the weapon level, the weapon will shoot level. But if you move the pistol, you're moving the sights. Moving the sights, you're going to impact, your bullet impact's going to be all over the place. So I think we need to define what each of these things are to make it simple for you to understand. Being trigger controllers are our number one accuracy killer, we need to identify what the trigger is doing during the midst of these killing accuracy moments. The very first one that most shooters do is they slap the trigger. Internally, your monster is telling you, we need to get the hell out of here. We need to leave. We don't like this noise. We don't like this recoil. We don't like this bang. And we're a little freaked out about being in the range. So we speed through or slap the trigger. Now, slapping the trigger and jerking the trigger are two different things, although they may look almost the same, but they are a little bit different. A slap of the trigger is most of the time using more finger in the gun than you need to, like at your crease here, and aggressively punching the trigger, punch, punch, punch. And what's happening there is, if you could just imagine, that's causing a lot of that downward push on the firearm. The slap of the trigger normally happens not in a slow cadence, but in a fast cadence. And that's more of a pop, 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 pop. And that's kind of all those mag dumpers. The mag dumpers slap the trigger an awful lot. When you slap a trigger, you can have a 3-foot section of target. Impact up top, impact down at the bottom, impact right, impact left. And you kind of wonder, why are you doing that? They think they're controlling it, but they're getting these wide rafts of accuracy, lack of accuracy, because they're slapping the trigger. But all they're really doing is slapping the gun. How can you keep the weapon level, in control, and slap the trigger? It just can't be done. So the very first killer I would recommend is stop slapping the trigger. How do we stop slapping the trigger? We slow down. Slow down. Get a good trigger press. The press drill is a great option for you. PRESS. That's putting your finger on the trigger and bringing it back. PRESS. And somewhere between this first S and the second S, the gun's going to go bang. You do that enough times, you'll start working on a good continuous trigger press. Trigger press, not a trigger slap. All right, well, John didn't tell me what jerk of the trigger. That's you. No, just kidding. Jerk the trigger. Jerk the trigger is more of a left and right situation. That's like using you think you got the proper engagement up here, but you kind of like rank it. I know it seems slap and jerkers seem similar, but they are different. Jerking the trigger is a true anticipation thing. Want to see this in action? Go ahead and have your buddy load 4 rounds of live rounds and 1 round of a dummy round. Don't tell you where it is and begin to shoot. You'll impact the weapon just fine until you get to that empty dummy round, and then all of a sudden you'll feel that jerk of the trigger. You'll feel like a jerk because you're doing it, but it really opens your mind up. Most students don't realize they're doing that until we point it out to them, because what happens, and I think I've told you all this stuff hundreds of times, but the idea of this is sometimes I have to tell it to you multiple times until it soaks in, or you realize, or it makes sense to you now, right? A lot of times what happens when we're jerking a trigger, we're pulling the weapon, and our brain is trying to stop or help you with recoil management. So it's causing anticipation or a flinch prior to the weapon going off. And it's more of an anticipation of the recoil. So it's kind of like tensing up just a little bit. And it becomes the whole issue. It's like getting in a car accident. A lot of times people don't get hurt in the car accident. They get hurt from the pre-accident, the flinching or the tightening up right before impact, and that causes a lot of muscle spasms and neck problems and things like that people have because they're trying to keep themselves from getting hurt, so they tense up, stop from getting hurt, and they cause themselves to get hurt anymore. One of the greatest football, I wouldn't say he was the greatest, but he was a buck. Grammatica, right? Grammatica, he was a kicker for the Bucks, and he kicked a long field goal and did a celebration jump in the air and blew out his knee and ruined his career. Because how many times this guy's kicked for many years and just did a celebration kick and blew out his knee. So what we need to do is we need to stop these things we're talking about, and instead we need to work on a very easy, smooth trigger press straight back to the rear. No disturbance of sights. This is where dry firing comes in so much. The dry fire inserts you guys have are the ones you bought. We have more coming. When you rack that slide, I always tell students, go ahead and give me some shitty dry fires first before you start working on the good ones. In the last couple of weeks, we've had students at the range doing their gun pickups, and we're doing some dry fire drills before we do live fire drills. And what a big difference that makes for students, because it gives them those moments of clarity that they need. When I say press the trigger straight back in your hand, a lot of people don't know the difference between a press and a pull. It's simply amount of pressure and the amount of anxiety you're putting on the trigger during the shot. We always talk about that scale situation, right? So I've done this before, but if you got a scale in front of you and I put 5 pounds on one side, well, the other side would be lifted because there's no weight on it. But if I drop 5 pounds on the non-weighted side at any distance, it would delodge the other 5 pounds because the static of the 5 pounds falling on the scale would cause the other 5 pounds to do some crazy stuff. You got the kinetic energy of the 5 pounds falling on the scale would probably delodge the other 5 pounds. But if I cut that bag open and began to pour the 5 pounds on the lighted side, the side that doesn't have 5 pounds on it, it would level out even as we poured the sand slowly, like through an hourglass, right? It doesn't dump in all at once. It goes very slowly. And if we brought it back very slowly, we're not going to have any manipulation of the firearm. And if we don't have manipulation of the firearm, we don't have sight movement. If we don't have sight movement, then our groups will be tighter. It's not rocket science, guys. No disturbance of the sights will make you more accurate. How do we not have disturbance of the sights? We got to have a proper grip, and we got to have a good trigger engagement. And we got to really control the pistol by holding onto it properly. I think number 4 would be follow through. I think too many people look over the pistol to see impact. If you're looking over the pistol to see impact, that tells you that you are pulling the trigger. Where the bullet should be is where your sights are aimed, not below where your sights are aimed. I think what tends to happen most students is they want to rush to finish or vision their sight before the bullet impacts. Your shot is not finished when the gun fires. Your shot is finished when you're done with your string of 5 shots. The moment you start lifting. I had a guy at the range the other day, was perfectly got the gun level, looking through his shots, cutting his shots, and then turning his head to look over he looked to the side of the gun. He was driving the gun properly, he was impacting where he was aiming, but he was looking past he was going out to look through the gun. So what are you doing? You can't do that. I said, stop that. But it's just something he'd been doing forever. So it's just kind of one of those weird habits he got into. So see, students have shot an awful lot, right? When they come to the range, I don't go in and go, forget everything you know. I know everything. I'm the best. You need to forget everything you got and just listen to what I'm telling you. It's hard for a student that's been shooting for an awful long time to change everything. And be honest with you, most students with today's technology, with the internet, everything else, most students have a pretty good concept of accuracy. Yeah. Not great, but not terrible. Does that make sense? If you got a phone and you got YouTube and you got an hour, you probably could find 50 videos on grip and 50 videos on stance, 50 videos on that. I got 850 of them myself. So you could get it in my channel. I thought it was cool when I had 365. I thought, one of my features was you could watch a video a day for a year. Now I've got 808. Let's see here. Like it matters. It's braggadocious right now. But there's 844 videos and 46,000 subs. You could almost watch 2.5 years of videos, one per day, and still not know everything because people don't gather everything they gather every time they watch a video. We try to get to the point and get through it and get into the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. You don't find me preaching too much about stuff, but obviously we try not to move students too much, especially people who have been shooting for a while. If they're coming to me for an accuracy class, I'm going to see where they're at. And then if we can adjust, we will. If I see a crappy grip or I see some trigger pulling versus trigger pressing, obviously we're going to try to adjust all that stuff. But the more if I can mold what they have Spanglish going on, their little grip or whatever they've got, and just fine tune it, the more accurate those students will be than me totally mind whelping them, the Men in Black thing, look at the light, forget everything. It's easier for me working with a student who has never shot before. Those are more moldable students that really don't have any real bad habits besides keeping their finger on the trigger, because that's part of the whole thing about a firearm. But when you take a student who's been shooting for a while and try to move everything, they just fall back to their weakest training. So we don't really try to change them too much. But the follow through stuff, we have to really stay behind the pistol until impact, until the 5-shot impact. Because the moment you pull back, look over, do prairie dog it, or whatever you're doing, you're really widening your groups more than you need to. So follow through is a technique that I would recommend you follow from a good shooters. Track the sights through the recoil. If it rises and falls, your weapon will fall back into your line of sight. You're going to work on a controllable reset if you can work it. I'm not crazy on shooting reset all the time. You need to know about it, but technically the full trigger press is more of a defensive trigger press, if that makes sense. What you're doing is bringing the gun back down, finding your sight system, which in the midst of all this, we are trying to still take the slack out of the trigger to get the trigger to the lightest trigger press we can. I think presenting the firearm and removing some of the slack as you present the firearm is an easier transition to work with, but that takes a little bit of education and timing. But most shooters are trying to put it all together and bang the shot in before they do anything. That's why we need to really prepare for the next shot each time. Preparing for the next shot is doing what? Taking the slack out of the trigger, getting it to that somewhat of a wall, where a lot of pistols have a good hard wall, like the Smith & Wesson Shield Plus. You get that back to that wall, it ain't going past that point. You take a Glock 19, there is no wall. It just gets stiffer and stiffer and stiffer until it cuts. So, and that Glock 19 trigger will keep going until it goes bang. Well, there are a lot of other triggers out there in the market that are better or worse than a Glock, but that's what we need to do. We need to remove any of the anticipation, remove any of the slack that's in the trigger, and finalize that sight system and keep the weapon from moving until the weapon cuts, allow it to rise and fall, and reset. The same thing over and over and over again. The more we can get this technique down, the easier it's going to be for us. And I think number 5, one of the things that most people do is they go to the range and they have no plans, no programs, nothing. They just grab a target that was either given to them or they bought, and they just shoot. And they have no concept of what they're shooting for, why they're shooting. This is why we built the HTS. We built the HTS system to give students focus, to give students a plan. When you enter into the HTS system, the HTS stands for Handgun Training System. It's a system of mine that I put together, my master class. It is a 4-week master your handgun in 4 weeks. Not only do you get the master class, but you get the ebook that comes with it. Now, we have that masterclass. There is week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. It puts you all through the system, and each drill, technique, or tip we're giving you is backed up by an ebook, a target plan, why the target's important, and the video of how to do the engagement. Or how to do, when I talk about sight alignment, when I talk about sight picture, when I talk about dominant eye, when I talk about trigger control, every little one has a little snippet of a video of how to do it. So not only do you get the ebook that you can read it, not only do you get the classroom setting that you can watch the class and watch all the stuff, the PowerPoint presentation of it, but you're going to get the videos as well. What's that cost? It's free. It's absolutely free. Now, we do have a markup. We move to premium or VIPs. The premium program is $10 a month. And then the VIP, now the only difference really between the VIP and the premium is more access to me. With the premium program, we have once a Monday, first Monday of every month is free for everybody. The whole community can come onto that live call on Monday nights through the school. But the rest of the month, it's open for premium and VIP members, and they get a target. The premium people get a target a month. The VIPs get a target a week, and you get to put in, look at, do everything, and they're great targets. And there's plenty of targets on there, plenty of downloadable information. Now the VIPs, they get no paywalls. All the ebooks are there. All the other classrooms are there. The concealed carry non-resident is there. The VIPs, they pay one price per month and they get everything. So it's ability for you to upgrade. We're not doing it to get rich, guys. We're just doing it because of passion of mine. If you want to learn more about that, there is hang on, I'm going to get this thing up real quick. Let me find it real fast. This QR code that you're about to see right here, up top here, right there. See that right there? That QR code gets you into the masterclass absolutely free. This masterclass has been done multiple times. It's up to $99.99. That's what it normally costs, and we're giving it to you absolutely free. And then you have the ability to work at your speed, your comfort. And the cool thing is because the system, the way it is, it's sort of Facebooky, maybe, because it has the ability for you to do videos, upload them into the program, and then all of our community-based students can review your targets and help you with your acknowledgement of what you're doing wrong, right? We got a lot of students that upload all their targets. We have some students that upload some targets. But, like anything else, you only get what you get if you put in what you put in. That sounded weird. But you get what you get. But you only get what you want if you put what you want in. And that's the key thing. Because as I said before, David did the work. David got the results. David said that I was a wizard, but David was the wizard because David was able to take the program and build his system for him. My question, are you ready to build the system for you? Are you ready to conquer your accuracy once and for all? Are you sick of wasting ammo? Are you sick of just can't figure it out? If you are, then the HTS handgun system is for you. It costs you absolutely nothing to get the 4-week masterclass. Something's working, guys, because every day I approve somewhere between 2 and 5 students a day. We're at 415 students throughout the world who are studying with us. And I'm personally inviting you to be part of the team, become a member, to become the best shooter you could be. Now, I have a store in Cape Coral, Florida. If you're watching this and you are local, take advantage of working with me because it gives you so much more value. Do you think half these people that are on this call tonight would give their right arm to be close enough to us to be walking in our store on a regular basis. If you live 30 miles from where I am, you owe it to yourself to become the best shooter you can be. And be honest with me, if you're caring, you owe it to the community. Because you, as a firearm carrier, you as a concealed carry holder, you're responsible for your bullet until it hits the ground. You shooting the bad guy and wounding 3 other innocent bystanders does not make you a hero, and it could put you in jail for wrongful engagement. So I'd highly recommend, whether you take training with us or you take somewhere else, get your fundamentals down. Because in a high stress situation, what you think you know goes out the window. And it's a high stress situation where muscle memory needs to kick in as much as possible. So training with a purpose is so important. So you want to improve your accuracy? It's the way to do it through the HTS system. So here's my challenge for you this evening. Is I want to challenge you to the accuracy drill. I want you to go to the range this week or next week, whenever you can. I want you to get a 6-inch, well, it could be a 6-inch, anything, I don't care, but a pie plate, basically, not a dinner plate, but a pie plate. I want you to put that at 7 yards. I want you to give yourself 5 shots at 7, 5 shots at 5, 5 shots at 3, which will total 15 rounds. I want you to get an 80%, which is 12 rounds, need to impact the target. If you hit 12 or more, you passed. If you left more, if you shot less than 12, you did not pass. That's okay. These drills are meant to challenge you. But remember, this is a drill you do dry. This is one you do before you do anything else at the range. And then, before you leave, try to do it again if you're not too fatigued. Most shooters, large percentage of them, think they can pass this, but very few actually do. We had 10 students this week. Out of the 10, only 8 passed. They didn't miss by much, and they probably any other day would have passed it, but they were shooting low, especially at the 7. Your challenge is to score yourself, videotape yourself if you can, and upload them into the school community. The bonus here is if you film yourself shooting it, I will personally review it and try to give you some pointers on what you're doing wrong. I'd like to see a couple of these next week. You could go upload them to the system. We're calling this the defensive accuracy challenge. And I challenge each and every one of you to give this a whirl. The video is up right now on our YouTube channel. I would recommend, it's about 5 minutes long. I'd recommend you check it out. I'd recommend you look at it, view it, and see what I did. In closing, if you want to increase your defensive accuracy, you really have to test yourself. You really have to challenge yourself. It's okay to fail, but it's not okay to learn. So if you're going to fail, you need to realize why you're failing. And if you realize what you did to fail, then you learn an awful lot. Miss Bonnie yesterday kind of touched me a little bit because Miss Bonnie told me, she said, well, I've been slacking a little bit. And I said, that's okay, Miss Bonnie. Sometimes that happens, honey. And Miss Bonnie says, "Well, I was doing a lot of, I just wasn't controlling the pistol, and I had to open and close my hand an awful lot, and I was just like, just what she was telling me, she was jerking the trigger. She doesn't really have control." And I said, "It sounds like Miss Bonnie, you're learning an awful lot there." Miss Bonnie didn't know what the hell she was doing when she started. Now she's telling me what she's doing wrong. So who's learning there, right? Yeah, so I was proud of her because after everything she said there, she had that aha moment yesterday. She might not have admitted it, but when she realized after she got done telling me, and I said, "What do you think all that is?" And she told me exactly what it was. That she wasn't driving with her back muscle. She wasn't controlling the pistol. She didn't feel confident. But she said she had an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper that she put up there. And guess what, guys? They were all in the paper. They might have been exactly where she was aiming, but they were all in the paper. So that means she won, right? That means you won, Miss Bonnie. And that's the key thing you always got to think of, right? And I'll leave you with this. A lot of you go to the range and you get frustrated at yourself for missing. You get frustrated for the grip. You get frustrated because the groups aren't tight. You get frustrated for a lot of different things. But what I don't want you to ever lose the factor or leave the range upset. I could care less. I'm happy you're missing. I'm happy you're upset that you're missing. But in the real world, the vital triangle is such a big target. We're never going to miss that really in a high situation. But what I want you to do is I want you to leave the range on a positive note. And the easiest way to do that is finalize your last 5 to 10 shots on something that you have conquered and you know you can conquer. So if you got to put it at 1 yard and put all 5 shots or 10 shots in the circle, in the center, leave on a good note. Don't leave on a sour note. You'll feel a lot better the next time you go to the range. You'll understand what you're doing. Evaluation is the name of the game. Evaluating why things are happening, what's going on. I've told you many times before, my job is to support you and educate you to the factor of, like Miss Bonnie, where she knew exactly what she was doing wrong. And once you start realizing what's causing it, it's pretty easy to fix it. Right? It's pretty easy to fix it once you know that pulling the trigger causes that, milking, grabbing and holding, not driving the pistol causes a lot of the inaccuracies. It's an ongoing education, really. I've said this many times before, and I'll probably say it until I die. Shooting's not complicated, but it is complex. And there's the little tiny things here and there, the little minute things that causes all the other bullshit that's involved in it. Well, my name's John Johnson. I own and operate a firearms training facility, and I specialize in you. And I am so glad you guys were here with me tonight. We had up to 21 people on this tonight. That was our biggest group so far. And these things are going like hotcakes. We get 100, 150 people watching them after the fact. I thank you for spending your Tuesday night with me. I'm available for you when you need me. Get into the school community. I beg you. Let me help you become the best shooter you can be. If you have the ability to support our community, get into one of those premium or VIP programs. They do help when you pay for that stuff. It does help me with all the other camera equipment and all the videos and everything we do on a regular basis. Listen, I understand money's tight. We're all over the world today. I'm not begging, but it does help out in the long run for us. Whether I like it or not, this is my passion, and I love you guys so much, and I want to help you become the best shooter you can be. We have a few comments. I'm going to go up and check them all out and find out what's going on and see how things going. I appreciate each and every one of you each week here being here. Would like to go back and say thank you to some people. James Russell, thank you very much. Phil, thank you. D, thank you, D. As always, make sure you tell your brother I said hello, please. All right, Jess, thank you, Jesse. Appreciate it. Bonnie Sue, thank you, Bonnie. You're awesome. Kurt Richards. Boy, I tell you what, Kurt showed me a picture the other day. He was dry firing in his garage, and I guess he had his Camaro in between the two houses, and there was I've never seen that much snow around a car. I don't think he could get his car out. There was no way he could get his car out of there. It probably had to melt a little bit before he got out there, but he was in New Jersey, so he just sat in the garage dry firing. Real cool. That white stuff scares me. Florida boy, you know. John, thank you. Mike, thank you. Alex and family, thank you. Appreciate you. John, Guppy, Mike, or Sam, Joe. Got some 7 yards from James. 3 to 5. Mike, 5. Still working on 7. There we go. Jess, close to 5. There we go, Jess. Way to go, honey. Hey, Jess, you ever get frustrated? You go back and look at some of those first targets you had, honey, and look what you got now. You're doing good, sweetheart. Doing good. Soaking you good. John, keep up with the one-handed stuff, buddy. It'll come to you, I promise you. There are a few videos on one-handed shooting from my YouTube channel. There are some tips and tricks I can give you on that. You watch those. Those will help you out tremendously. Thank you, John. He says, thank you, John. I keep trying to implement your wisdom. Thank you. Me too, buddy. Me too. Yeah, there we go. Kurt Richards comes up with some knowledge here. Let's see what he's got to say. I always go by. He's a pretty awesome dude. Let's see here. 1 second. Sorry. Anticipation, the shot breaking usually causes a muzzle dip. It happens during the pressing of the trigger and the press and the ESS of the trigger. Yeah, somewhere along that line. Anticipation. A good drill to get you guys do if you want to do that is the ball and dummy drill. That's 4 shots, 1 dummy round. Dummy rounds can be bought anywhere, but it will help you out tremendously. You can't load your own magazines to do that, but if you have someone else load your magazines, it's a great, fun thing to do at the range with a buddy is to load up dummy rounds into a magazine, put a dollar bill on the table or $2 bills on the table, and go back and forth trying to collect that money from each other. What a fun hour at the range with 50 rounds, and you can see who's be the less of the flincher, if that makes sense. What makes a big difference. D. Marshall again with the aha moment. Thank you, Joe. Thanks, Bonnie. You're awesome. Sam, thank you, Sam. And James. Well, guys, as always, you're the best. I appreciate you being here. It's definitely a passion of mine. I hope it shows, and I appreciate you very much. Until next week, God bless, be safe, and remember, you are your first line of defense. Do me one favor tonight before you go to bed. We got some guys overseas that are about to get into some stuff over here. Keep in your prayers because Trump's doing what he can do over there, but it's going to be time we put men on the ground, and we don't want to be anywhere near that stuff. So it's a necessity that we can't have them have nuclear power, but we surely don't want to lose them. We already lost 4 4 soldiers already. Amazing what he did, but we got, got to be careful. You guys be careful out there. If it can happen in Texas, it can happen anywhere. Be aware of your surroundings. Put your head on a swivel. Pay attention. If it's not right, doesn't feel right, get the hell out. All right? Love you guys.